welcome to Studio 5. Here's what's ahead on today's show.
They make $1 out the children, maybe $1 billion.
Hip-hop artist nobigdyl talks about his humble beginnings.
I did 3 projects online, and that kind of built my little fan base.
Radio host turned filmmaker Gerald McBride and his first feature, Black Ice the Rhythm, is a redemption story.
The scene is about a young African-American hockey player who really just has a chip on his shoulder.
And Lilo and Stitch is back in live-action style.
He's so cute and fluffy.
We can't wait to share those stories. We also can't wait to share this week's countdown of the top 5 stories in the world of uplifting entertainment.
At number 5.
We don't want you to grieve like the rest of men who have no hope. We don't want you to be ignorant about those who fall asleep.
Phil Robertson, the star of the Duck Dynasty television series and patriarch of the Robertson family, died Sunday at the age of 79. In recent months, the family revealed he suffered from a blood disorder similar to a form of cancer. Phil Robertson often shared his testimony of God's redeeming grace in his life, inspiring fans to embrace the gospel and to be baptized.
I'm looking at it like, right, you're 74, you don't have many years to live. I'm like, oh, I'm just fixing to begin to live on the other side.
At number 4.
Ew! We are not keeping this thing.
Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind
Or forgotten.
It was a monster Memorial Day weekend at the box office. Disney's live-action version of Lilo and Stitch earned a staggering $145.5 million in North American theaters.
Our lives are the sum of our choices.
The second biggest opening of the year behind a Minecraft movie, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, pulled in $63 million.
Award-winning rapper nobigdyl merges music genres to create his own unique sound, and on top of that, he adds lyrics that tackle real-life issues.
Yeah, Christian music or music that Christians use to get their fix, just another hit of the clicks and views. Officially, I don't play by your silly rules. We independent because that's how I felt the spirit move.
So we know that your mom and dad didn't see you and say, let's name him No Big Deal. So yeah. Dylan is the given name, right?
Dylan. Yeah.
So where did the name change happen?
From Dylan to No Big Deal. So first I want to shout out my dad, because my dad actually named me after Bob Dylan,
really?
Which is really cool. Yeah. He just loved like the lyrical and poetic nature of Bob Dylan, and so he wanted to name his son that. And so I think that is pretty special.
I like that.
And then No Big Deal, I really wanted to convey, even in my name, that this is not all about me. There's a bigger message that I'm telling, and a God that I'm serving. So even when you see my name, it's almost like stylistically there's some humility in the actual letters themselves.
Hip hop looking for a renaissance. Only problem is the Christians got it.
When did the music for you become ministry?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think, so I say that any artist who leads with authenticity, your music is going to be a reflection of your heart. You know, just like the Bible says, like your words are a reflection of your heart. Out of your heart, you know, the mouth speaks. So I think that my music is just a reflection of what's in my heart. There was not a moment like where I was like, okay, I'm actually not going to make secular hip hop. I'm going to make Christian hip hop. I'm just making music, and this is what's real to me.
Deep inside my bag, you would have thought that I was packing. Way I swear the serpent would have thought that I was crashing. Man, I'm praying to the Father. This ain't luck and this ain't magic.
This is me just this is actually my relationship with Jesus, and what I've learned walking with him, and the different viewpoints and perspectives that he's given me as we walk together through life, you know.
So when did you make the connection in terms of your life as ministry? What happened?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that. I love how you brought that together. When I went to college, my family moved away, and now kind of the world is like open to me. And there was a moment where basically it felt like I was living 2 lives. Like anybody who knew me at the time would have described me as, oh, he's a great guy, you know. And really, I have this whole like life of secret sin and addiction, and like kind of under wraps that only God knows about. So there was this moment where God was basically like, so yeah, you have technically gotten away with this. Nobody is threatening to out you, and all of this. And you could choose to continue going that way, but that's not my way for you. It was that moment. And so that I said, yes, you know what? No, I'm choosing your way, which requires me to drag all of this stuff that's in the darkness into the light. And I'm talking about real confession. I'm talking about face-to-face confession about these sins that I've been dealing with, bringing the church in on it, bringing my wife in on it, all of these things. And I think that was the moment where the call is God saying, okay, show people your scars so that they don't get the same scars.
The Lord is my strength and song. He has become my salvation.
For the latest on No Big Deal's music, go to dilly.com. Still to come, a Detroit radio host talks about his first feature film, Black Ice, The Rhythm.
I don't want to just entertain you. You know, you're going to be entertained, but you need to be able to walk away with something. Wow, I learned something, or I had some sort of revelation in watching that movie.
At number 3.
Elio?
Elio?
Elio? Elio!
It's a Studio 5 early look at the animated Pixar film Elio, coming to theaters June 20th.
You okay?
I'm trying to get abducted by aliens.
Elio!
Skipping school?
Which one of these is you?
I don't know, but I think that one is you.
Elio is a great feel-good movie that inspires you. Pixar movies are something that you just have to experience.
At number 2.
This is gonna be delish. I am Deborah Van Treese, a chef from Atlanta, Georgia.
It's a second season of Global Soul with tasty food and a spicy chef.
So what I love about pot pies is I think they're very comforting. They definitely remind me of home.
My first question to you is, which came first? The love of travel or the love of food?
The love of food, that's an easy one. Yes, yes. I think the travel came as a result of, growing up in a city that I felt like I outgrew, and I wanted to get up out of there. Yeah, so that was what the travel was about. Years ago, way back, meat pies were actually dishes that were served to royalty. This very humble dish has some highfalutin roots.
Black Ice, The Rhythm weaves elements of faith, hope, and redemption. The film is written, produced, and directed by Detroit radio host Gerald McBride.
Oh, that cross says a lot.
What did it say about my grandmother? I keep losing people.
I wish I had the answers.
Where'd you learn to skate like that? Father taught me.
Good job, son.
So this film, where was it birthed? You go to a hockey game with a friend, and what happens?
Well, so yeah, I produce a lot of radio and TV commercials. So one of my clients came into town and he said, well, could you take me to a hockey game? I said, yeah, sure, I'd be glad to take you. And we get there and it's sold out, 10,000 seats. And I look around and I'm like, I'm the only African American in the arena. And I thought, wow, man, it really aroused my curiosity about where all the black players were in this, in this sport. Right then and there, I believe the Lord gave me an idea for a movie.
How long was that process?
That process was almost 15 years. Now, I didn't have any experience in directing, but I have this script now. So I had no experience in producing a movie at all. But I stepped out in faith and things started to happen.
I've always believed that people deserve second chances.
I think that you should start wearing this again.
For what, Grandma? For good luck?
For you to continue 15 years and still hold on, what happened that made you hold on?
Well, first of all, I just think it's just a lot of prayer and just knowing this is more than just a movie, that it's a purpose that God has called me to, and that we need more content like this in movies. And I just knew that this was an assignment. And however, how long it took, I was just willing to do that. I was willing to make the sacrifices. I was willing to do whatever it took to get this done. But of course, in God's timing.
What are your conversations with God like during this process?
Where are you? But you know, I just believe the Lord just kept telling me, just trust him. Man, it takes prayer. It takes a lot of prayer to do something like this. For this movie to be shot with under $300,000 and over 150 people in the movie, it's miraculous.
You're gonna make the perfect coach.
Coach who? You know black people don't play hockey. It's too cold in here. We can win with something the other teams don't have, and that's the rhythm.
Set the scene for us. What happens in the film? What's the film about?
Okay, well, the scene is about a young African-American hockey player. So he gets on a hockey team where he's the only black player. He's singled out by a couple other white players, and they get into a brawl on the ice.
Me playing with a bunch of white guys. Got you in here in the first one. We got into a fight on the ice.
And he's sentenced to 7 years in prison for attempted murder. He gets out on probation. They send him to an all-black hockey rink in the middle of the inner city, and where kids really don't play the game. They're not that great at it at all. And he turns these kids into a hockey team.
And they told me you was coming out here to coach them. What you gonna teach them?
People say write what you know, so I'm curious, how close to your story is this story?
Wow, that's good, because there are some things in this story that are straight from my heart and things that I dealt with. Yeah, because it's coming from me. It's coming, and I think that's what's so very, very important. I don't want to just entertain you. You know, you're going to be entertained, but you need to be able to walk away with something. Wow, I learned something, or I had some sort of revelation in watching that movie.
So you have a prayer for Black Ice the Rhythm now that people are enjoying it?
I pray that people will walk away with a new awareness of faith, that they will also believe that don't be afraid, just believe. Whatever it is that you're trusting God for, hang in there, persevere, you know, have patience, know that God is faithful.
He sees all and he knows all. You can see him involved in so many ways.
Black Ice the Rhythm is available on multiple streaming platforms, including Prime Video, Apple TV, as well as Google Play. Right now, it's time for your Studio 5 Snapshot. We pause to remember and honor a fixture in New York and American political history, Charlie Rangel. The former congressman and founding member of the Congressional Black Caucus has died. Voters elected him to the House of Representatives in 1971, defeating Reverend Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. Rangel served in Congress for 46 years, and he became the first African-American chairman of the powerful House Ways and Means Committee in 2007. Rangel was a veteran. He served in the Korean War and was awarded a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star. Charlie Rangel was 94. And that's your Studio 5 Snapshot for the week. And still to come here on Studio 5, a look at the live action edition of Lilo and Stitch.
Really fun. It was good. We had a good time, I think.
Hold it, ready? 1, 2, 3.
No,
And welcome back to Studio 5. Here's a look at the #1 story making headlines in the world of uplifting entertainment this week. At number 1.
You would love your family enough to say, I must protect you.
Our countdown began with news of Phil Robertson's death, and now we have some other Robertson family news to share. A fan favorite is on its way back to your television screen. We've got a look at Duck Dynasty, The Revival.
Honey, I'm home.
The Robertsons are back.
God, a lot has happened. I'm a grandpa and officially semi-retired. Look, I realized I didn't teach my kids all the Robertson DNA.
Duck Dynasty, The Revival premieres June 1st on A&E.
This is part of our legacy. I am not about squirrel.
Bunch of yuppies.
They have really stepped up for the most part.
The animated film Lilo and Stitch earned the honor of being the second highest grossing animated film in 2002. Well, now the film is back on the big screen in animated live action.
We have apprehended a dangerous experiment. Where is he?
He escaped.
He's trying to find the police cruisers.
He took the red one.
What hideous planet is caught in your crosshairs?
Shooting star! I wish for a friend. Like a best friend. Yeah!
Lilo and Stitch is a movie about an alien crash landing on Earth and being accidentally adopted by a 6-year-old girl who thinks that he's a new puppy.
Can you tell me what your name is?
Maya.
Maya Kealoha was such an amazing find for our film. Maya embodies Lilo in a bunch of different ways. That was good, Maya. Like, she really was honestly one of the better actors I've ever worked with.
Have you gotten to meet Stitch yet?
Yeah, he's making a lot of trouble.
Perfect. Take it from the top again. This is never quite over.
My name is Chris Sanders. I was the writer and director on the very first Lilo and Stitch.
How?
And I am reprising my role as the voice of Stitch in this film. I am always nervous about the endurance of my voice.
I'm trying to stitchify a howl.
After about 2 hours, his voice begins to just...
I'm being paid to make noise.
Stay here.
Working with Stitch was, really fun. It was good. We had a good time, I think. Hold it, ready? 1, 2, 3.
I could not have predicted that Stitch would be embraced by people the way he has.
No, I'm gonna give you to the count of 3, Stitch. 1.
I'm gonna do this voice for as long as I possibly can. It's just really fun.
He's so cute and fluffy.
He is your responsibility. Got it.
See, Mark.
Agent Cobra Bubbles, we have a blue dog to catch.
You know, we do have better dogs, like way better.
Not better than him. She can talk. Say hello.
Dogs no can talk. Dogs can't talk, Lilo.
Disney's Lilo and Stitch is in theaters nationwide right now. As you know, music helps us to bring you this show each and every week, and this week's soundtrack comes from 803 Fresh. Take a listen and you'll hear why Boots on the Ground is what's playing in my ear.
Oh, I got my boots on the ground. Oh, yeah. Oh, I got my boots on the ground. Y'all know I don't mind. Yes, sir. Boots on the ground. Where them fans at? Boots on the ground. Where them fans at? Where them fans at? Where them fans at?
On that musical note, we are just about out of time for this week's edition of Studio 5, so let's take a moment to look at next week's rundown.
Sometimes I fall to my knees and pray.
She's got more than a dozen Grammys on her shelf, and CeCe Winans joins Shirley Caesar. Learn more about the dynamic collaboration and her upcoming international tour.
God has given me a gift, and not only a gift, but it's for such a time as this. For some reason, he's entrusting me to represent who he is and to encourage people to worship him.
Please join us for that story and so much more next week. As for this week, you've got time for just one more thing. Let's give the final word to rapper No Big Deal.
In light of all that you've done thus far,
in life, if you could go back in time to speak to young No Big Deal, although you weren't that then, what would you tell that little boy?
I think what I needed to hear is that there are people who will accept you for who you are. You don't have to assimilate into this idea of this perfect kid or even this perfect Christian, or this like perfect cookie cutter version of those things. There are people who will authentically love you, and they will challenge you, and they will call you to higher. But that's part of authentic love. They won't shame you. They won't place shame on you that Jesus is taking away. They won't say, hey, you need to, modify your behavior to fit in this box. They'll walk with you through the good and the bad, the pretty and the ugly, and they will call you to higher when you are not walking in your sonship. But they will really love you. I think I needed to hear that when I was young.
Dylan, No Big Deal, that is a great final word for this week's edition of Studio 5 and for this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone around you, and then please come on back and see where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching.